Hello, this is Peter from Ultimate Marketing Strategies, and in this keyword research video I'm going to be talking about the importance of trends and regional data, because I think it's something that a lot of people overlook when they're doing their keyword research. And in particular, I found it was very important when I was doing some recent keyword research for one of my Amazon stores. Now, I use SE Cockpit for my keyword research, and I'm just showing you one of the particular keywords that I found that I thought, oh, this is good. Yeah, it's 49,500 monthly searches, and yeah, it's relatively low competition. Yeah, that's potentially a good one to get into. But yeah, when I started looking at the actual details of it, I found that it wasn't good at all. I won't show you I could do all of the analysis in SE Cockpit, but as most people are familiar with Google AdWords keyword tool, I'll do it in there. So I'll type in baby bunting, and you'll notice here I've got my location set to all, which a lot of people do, and I'm pretty certain it's the default. So if I click on that, and I'll make sure I've got exact match type enabled, and we'll see here we've got our 49,500 monthly searches. Okay, so what you need to do is check out the trends and the regional data in Google Insights. So you can do that by clicking on that little magnifying glass icon there, and that opens up a new window. Okay, so if we look at the trend data for that particular term over the last 12 months, we can see it's good. That's fairly consistent. There's no it's not tailing off or anything like that. But once we come down to regional interest, we can see here Australia 100. These numbers here are between 1 and 100, and we can see Australia. For that particular term, baby bunting, Australia is by far and away the only country in the world where that particular term is searched a lot, and that's simply because baby bunting is a lot more common term in Australia than any other English-speaking country in the world. We can see here United States, United Kingdom, and Canada. They barely make a blip on this regional chart. So if we go back to AdWords keyword tool, and if I set my location to United States, and we do the search again, see here, okay, we've still got our 49,500 global monthly searches, but over here in the local monthly searches, that's for the US, it's only 1,900. So yeah, there's obviously a big difference between 1,900 searches a month and 49,500. Now it obviously depends what keyword you're looking at and what type of product, but as I was specifically looking for keywords for an Amazon store, and that's targeting the US market, and Amazon US, there's not that many products that they ship outside the US. There's no real point in looking at keywords outside the US. So if I was going for that particular keyword, 1,900, perhaps if I was making a little micro niche site, could possibly go for it. But as I'm looking to build an Amazon store, I'm looking for something with 10,000 or plus searches a month. I'll give you another example of a product that where there's this huge regional difference. So if we go back to Google Insights, and if I type in car hi-fi, okay, and if we come down to the regional interest here, you can see the US doesn't even appear in this list here. We've got Australia, UK, and various European countries there. So presumably car hi-fi is not a term that's very common at all in the US. If we go into Google AdWords and just check the search figures on that, Okay, well, so we can see here it's got a good number of global monthly searches, 18,100, but if we were to be targeting the US market, it's only 91, so that's an enormous difference. And if you were creating a site targeting the US market for that particular keyword and you were only looking at the global monthly searches thinking, oh, this has got a good number of searches, you'd be in for a very rude shock, because 91 monthly searches a month, it's definitely not worth targeting. Okay, and there's a whole bunch of other keywords that are similar to that, where particularly in European countries, particular products might have different names. Now, if we look at the trend data, is very important. Now we can see over the last 12 months that this car hi-fi is fairly steady, but you really need to be looking at all the data. So if we look at it from 2004 onwards, okay, we can see there there's a big downward trend in that particular keyword. I mean, it still gets a fair number of searches. 18,000 is certainly not insignificant, but it's a dying trend, that keyword. If we look at if you look at anything particularly old technology, so VCR player, for example, and we can see there we get these little spikes. I think they're around Christmas time, but you can see that it's a definite downward trend. And then we get products or services that might be trendy for a short time. I guess a classic example would be MySpace. So if we have a look at that. Okay, so MySpace was launched, I'm assuming around 2005, and then we have this huge spike in interest, and then it sort of peaked around about 2008, and then Facebook and really took over, and MySpace it's become a second class site really, and not that many people use it anymore. So you can see there, if you were targeting anything around MySpace, you really are on a definite downward trend there. Now the other thing to remember about trends is if you're doing seasonal keyword research, for example, Christmas, Valentine's Day, Halloween, all those sort of things, the most important thing to look for there is you're going to get a peak at that the appropriate time of year. Well, let's just put in, say, Christmas gifts. And this is the lead up to Christmas, so we get these big spikes there. But we can see from 2004 onwards, these spikes here, they're all fairly consistent. So I mean, it's probably not the best example, it's fairly generic, but if you're targeting something seasonal, as long as it's not a new product and you can look at the history of it, as long as these spikes are fairly consistent, that's something useful to go for. Okay, well, hopefully you found that information useful, and when you're next doing your keyword research, so that you'll keep in mind to look at the trend and regional data, and hopefully it will save you some heartache in your keyword research. Thanks.